What a fantastic and diverse mix of fragrances my current favorite fragrances are. Hi, welcome. Please drop a like on this video, and if you're brand new here, make sure you hit that subscribe. So I use a lot of fragrances throughout the course of a month and up to 4 a day. Usually though around 2 or 3 a day. Pretty much always one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And I usually, but not always, start my day with a lighter or more versatile kind of scent. And usually, but again, not always, something with a bit more depth to it later in the day. And among everything I've been wearing lately, these are the ones I've been reaching for a bit more than the rest. So first up we have this thing right here, and this is a fragrance I actually quite quickly put quite a dent to. And the easiest way to describe Armani Stronger With You Powerfully is that it has that core Armani Stronger With You DNA with vanilla, lavender and chestnut. So Powerfully has a gorgeous combo of sweet vanilla together with a bit of aromatic freshness and brightness. The main twist to Powerfully though is that they added a dose of sweet cherry. It's got a bit of spicy warmth in the opening and it's softly woody in the dry down, but this is mostly about a bit of sweet cherry together with a bit of sweet vanilla with a bit of lavender cutting through it all. So basically think of that Armani Stronger With You kind of scent with an added dose of cherry on top. I absolutely love the scent of well-made cherry, and Armani Stronger With You Powerfully together with Scandal Porum Elixir are two cherry focused scents that I've been going back and forth with. So I usually like to start my day with a versatile scent that's got a bit of freshness to it, and this, at least to me, is among some of the world's best, most versatile scents for men. And this is one of the few fragrances in my collection that I bought 3 backup bottles of. So you have cedar and cashmere wood grounding the whole thing with quite a masculine dose of woodiness. This is prominently woody, but at least to my nose I do not feel this is a heavy kind of woodiness. On top of that woodiness you have a mix of spicy and citrusy freshness, bringing balance to the whole thing. So Dior Homme 2020 is basically a mix of freshness together with a slightly warm kind of woodiness, and you also get a bit of fresh musk in the dry down. But I do feel the main twist to Dior Homme 2020 is a slight soft hint of sweetness and a sort of a resinous kind of feel to the whole thing. I think this is a fantastic scent. It's definitely among some of my favorites for everyday use, and it's one I've been reaching for quite a bit lately. So next up we have this, which I bought earlier this year, and I actually put quite a dent to this as well. And sort of a simplified Y Iced cologne is yet another intensely fresh version of Y. And in a way I do feel it's almost like if they took a bit of Y Eau de Toilette and mixed that with a bit of the minty freshness from Y All Fresh, but really amped up that minty freshness and also made it quite intensely aromatic. That freshness sits on top of a softly woody and ambery base. Every single time I spray Y Iced cologne on, I start to think if I rated it correctly. I'm gonna link to my full Y comparison and ranked video somewhere up here and in the description below. And the reason why I keep on thinking that is because the opening and the mids of Y Iced cologne is absolutely gorgeous. But unfortunately I do feel it loses some of its magic the more it dries down. But still, the opening through to the mids and a bit into the dry down is an absolutely joy to wear. So I bought pretty much every single Azzaro one released so far, and it really seems like they are releasing more and more. But with all the new releases, if there's one flanker I truly hope they release a new version of, then it's this. And the main reason for that is its fruity sweetness, which I actually feel has quite a bit of uniqueness to it. And it's basically a combination of that sexy fruitiness and sweetness together with quite a prominent dose of woodiness. This is probably one of the most underrated Azzaros, and also the one I really feel they need to do a new version of. And unfortunately I realized that I'm more than halfway through my bottle of it. Azzaro Wanna by Night is a fragrance I've been reaching for quite a bit lately. Let me know in the comments if you tried it and what you think of it. I have so many fragrances that are heavily inspired of Creed Aventus, and I usually reach for one of my Armani Club de Nuits or Mont Blanc Explorer, but I've been giving that DNA a bit of a break like the last couple of months, but recently got back to it and decided I wanted that DNA but with a bit of a twist, and started wearing Afnan Supremacy Not Only Intense quite a bit again. And one way to sort of describe it is that if you ever put your nose to like Armani Club de Nuits, pretty much any of them, or Mont Blanc Explorer or Creed Aventus, then you know this kind of scent. And to me it's basically a combination of fruitiness with a bit of sweetness, but I do not feel this is overly sweet. That fruitiness is mixed with a bit of freshness, and the whole thing is quite intensely woody. It has the earthiness from Nishan and Hashivat and the woodiness from Creed Aventus, but that woodiness is definitely a bit different. This is so good. It's definitely among some of the very best Creed Aventus inspired scents out there, and on my skin this lasts a long time. This gives me that Aventus DNA, but with a bit of a difference if I compare it to my Armaf. So let me know in the comments if you prefer not only Intense or the Club Noise. So next up we have this, which I bought earlier this year, and I actually wanted to wait until summer to wear it more, but I couldn't wait. You get a super creamy, almost milky, but not quite dose of sweet coconut in this. That intense dose of coconut is balanced up a little bit by a soft dose of woodiness and a fantastic dose of lavender cutting through it all. So in a nutshell, Purple Melancholia is basically a combination of aromatic freshness and brightness together with a creamy and sweet dose of coconut, and the whole thing is softly woody and a bit ambery. So I'm a bit obsessed with well-made coconut focus scents, and I usually, for coconut, I usually reach for my Le Beau's. However, this gives me coconut, but coconut done in a way I actually feel is different compared to that line. I'm gonna link to my Purple Melancholia versus the Le Beau's comparison video somewhere up here and in the description below. So make sure you check that one out for more on any sort of similarities and the differences between Purple Melancholia and the Le Beau's. But yeah, I really wanted to wait until summer to enjoy this more, but I couldn't wait. So next up we have this, which I feel is definitely among some of the very best, if not the best, fresh apple focus scent ever made. You get an absolutely gorgeous dose of fresh apple together with a nuanced dose of citrusy freshness. That freshness and fruitiness sits on top of what I think is quite a prominent and intense, but at the same time incredibly smooth dose of woodiness, and the whole thing is softly musky. And to my nose, Parfums de Marly Greenley is fruity, fresh, woody and musky in a truly fantastic way. Its fruitiness and freshness together with its green side is still something I feel is quite unique. So moving from one green scent to another, however, I do feel this is really not a green scent, but the bottle is. I think this is a great choice for spring, and one way to sort of describe this is like if you would take a bit of Dior Sauvage EDT, mix that with a bit of Luna Rosa Carbon EDT, but add a dose of kiwi to the whole thing. So Coach Green is basically sort of a mix of a nuanced kind of freshness together with the fruitiness from kiwi, and the whole thing is a bit woody. And it has a bit of that Sauvage-y or Luna Rosa Carbon-y kind of scent to it. This is so good. The only thing is that, at least on my skin, the projection is not the best. And I truly hope that one day that we will see a flanker that's more intense based on this. So moving on to a fragrance I bought not that long ago, and this thing has grown on me quite a bit. I mean, there's definitely quite a familiar thing going on here, so I do feel this is definitely based on something that we've seen before. But even though this feels quite familiar, I gotta say there's something I really like about it. And Invictus Elixir is basically sort of a combination of quite a prominent dose of vanilla. You got a gorgeous aromatic touch cutting through the whole thing, and the whole thing is also, at least to my nose, softly woody. There's definitely a salty touch, like a soft salty touch to the whole thing. And this is a fragrance I've been enjoying quite a bit lately, and even though I feel it smells really good, at the same time I also feel this is quite familiar. And I still feel for a lot of people, if you already have quite a few vanilla focus scents, this will most likely be redundant. So moving on to this, which I think is probably Ferragamo's take on the epic Le Mal Le Parfum, but it's not quite Le Mal Le Parfum, and I almost feel it's almost like a mix of Le Mal Le Parfum but without its powderness, and the complement get a Tom Ford or the Ombre leather, but with a less intense kind of leather to it. But the twist is that this has quite a noticeable dose of fruitiness and cacao. So it's vanillic, a bit sweet, definitely quite a smooth and noticeable dose of woodiness, and it's a bit fruity with a really nice dose of cacao to it. There's a bit of soft leather in Ferragamo Sublime leather, but I do feel that part is really pushed into the background. Sublime leather is my second most favorite in the Ferragamo line. I'm gonna link to my full Ferragamo comparison somewhere up here and in the description below. I think Sublime leather is absolutely gorgeous, but, and this is quite a big one, it definitely lacks a bit of intensity. But if this would have been more intense, I would probably have rated it like 9 or even a perfect rebel. So moving on to one of my fragrances for life, and this is among the best leather focus scents for men. One of the best leather notes ever made in a floral, spicy and amber blend. The jasmine note cutting through the entire thing brings it a fantastic floral touch. However, the way the leather is combined with the jasmine really doesn't feel, at least to my nose, really doesn't make this feel like a floral kind of scent. The jasmine, at least to my nose, simply elevates the leather in a fantastic way. I'm not gonna say that much more about this absolutely stunning beauty. So next up we have a fragrance that until like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I really didn't touch for like 2 or 3 years at least. And the main reason for that is actually quite simple. I thought it had gone bad because when I sprayed it on like a few years ago, what I got from it at that time wasn't that much of a scent. But I believe it was after my review of the new 1 Million Night Elixir that I decided to spray this one on. And I'm so glad that I did, because it actually still smells good. And I could be wrong, but this is probably one of the, if not the most fresh versions of 1 Million. You get a nuanced kind of freshness together with a bit of soft woodiness, but the main twist to 1 Million cologne is its floral kind of freshness. There's a fresh kind of rose that's blended with a bit of citrusy and marine freshness. And one of the reasons why I've been spraying this thing on quite a bit lately is that I actually feel this is quite different compared to most men's fragrances nowadays. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I definitely feel this is quite a cool scent. Let me know in the comments if you tried it and what you think of it. So there you go, those were some of my current favorites, and I would absolutely love to know if you tried any of them and what you think of them. And I would also absolutely love to know if you have any fragrances in your collection that you've been reaching for a bit more than the rest. Let me know in the comments, drop a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my other videos over there.